Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.
Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Poppy Tucker, host of the award-winning radio program Louisiana Eats, airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Hello, dear.
Hello, Peggy.
Hello. We're so thrilled. David Kerstein, president of the Helis Foundation, and Jessie Haynes, managing director of the Helis Foundation, with us for a very special award coming up. Welcome, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you
We're excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com. Hello, Mr. Smason. First up, Poppy.
Well, you know, last week when Alan Smason tried to horn in on my food news, I had been out of town for a little bit. And so Sunday, I beat it over to go see what the commotion was at the King Cake Hub. And I have to tell you what, that is only in New Orleans. Peggy, what has happened to king cakes this year? I think officially it's king cakes on steroids. And the Baron of King Cake, Will Samuels, seems to be leading the charge. He's at the mortuary chapel, or the mortuary, formerly known as a funeral home. There he is, from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. every single day from now until Mardi Gras. He's got 35 different varieties of king cake you can buy there.
Sheer genius.
Eat Fit from last week is there. High dough, you don't have to cross the bridge. Coludas, Gambinos, Canadas, Girls Gone Vegan, the delicious Noka king cake, and he's got one of the a couple of the Bywater Bakery king cakes. Now, he doesn't have all the king cakes from Bywater Bakery, and you really need to make a trip down there. They've got 9 flavors, including savory versions. They're open from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day until Mardi Gras, featuring a drive-up king cake feature. I don't quite know how it works, but I'm going to check it out. And they have crawfish, spinach, and artichoke, and they have, at Bywater Bakery, the Boudin king cake, which I understand is like the huge craze in Lafayette right now, and so you can get a taste of what that must be like at Bywater Bakery. Also running a king cake pop-up shop. Where did all the king cakes come from? At the Pythian Market, food hall I just love. From 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. through March 5th, you can get king cake from Nona Randazzo, Gracious Bakery, and Sucre. And Sucre's going crazy with the new Tabasco sweet and hot king cake. Their king cake buttermilk drops this year. There's Bluebell ice cream king cake. I'm sure that's probably at Rouse's. And I've decided, here's the deal. For some reason, everyone has come to believe that if you just make it taste like cinnamon, it's a king cake. Whatever, but go eat the king cake. I can't keep up with them. Now, since we're in the carnival mood, I want to remind everybody, next Saturday, January 19th, at the Sugar Mill, it's time for the 4th annual Bal Masque from the Lynda Benglis Foundation. And I will tell you what, it is the most fun evening you can possibly imagine. There's 15 celebrity chefs coming from all over the country. The dress is black tie, costumes. There's the Marie Antoinettes. You've never lived until you've seen the Marie Antoinettes.
Yes,
masks are required. There's live music, there's dancing, there's cocktails by Neil Bodenheimer from Cure, Neil himself. And then it's brunch talk time. And there is a new Sunday brunch starting this weekend at Toop's Meadery on North Carrollton. They're going to be serving
so
brunch.
Opening on Sunday?
Yes, brunch.
They're not usually open
No,
on
no, no. They've been closed on Sunday forever, but they've been serving brunch at Toop's. Yeah. So they've been, you know, having brunch, and their brunch continues at Toop's South in Central City. But over on North Carrollton, you're going to be able to have things like foie gras torchon, shrimp fried rice with crab fat and ham, hot boudin, speaking of boudin, with poached eggs and hollandaise, of course his cracklins, that epic burger, $15 bottomless mimosas. I'm making my reservations now. Go Saints on Sunday. See ya at Toops. And since we're talking brunch, I want to remind everybody January the 27th is my next pop-up drag queen brunch benefiting Crescent Care from 11 to 2 at Tujak's Restaurant. As usual, 3 courses, 4 drag queens.
Thank you, Pop.
Thank you. It sells out, so you've got to make those reservations.
Okay, thank you so much. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Wendy Hills gave us the name of this carnival song that wishes that the Grand Duke Alexis of Russia would ride a certain animal through Texas. The answers are If Ever I Cease to Love, and the animal, of course, is a buffalo. Now tonight's question. This song by New Orleans female group is titled after a Mardi Gras Indians expression. Name the song and the group that sings it. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes, some really great ones, a t-shirt with the message Claw and Order from our friends at wearablevegetables.com, as well as copies of the books Pascal's Manale Cookbook by Puppy Tucker, yay! Pontchartrain Beach, A Family Affair by Brian Batt and Katie Danos, and A Fire in My Lens by Armand Richardson. Thank you, Pelican Publishing, for those, by the way. You can go to WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including Capros Pierucci's current exhibit at the Callan Contemporary Gallery on Julia Street. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to see our program. Celeste Seymour Judell was a very active New Orleans arts patron and devoted to WYES. She passed away in 2010. In her honor tonight, though, we once again bestow an arts award in her name. She was supportive in both the visual and performing arts in New Orleans, the New Orleans Opera, to name one of many organizations. And this year, we are bestowing our award to the Helis Foundation. And the award was created, by the way, by Mark Rosenbaum of Rose Tree Blown Glass Studios in Algiers Point. And that's what we have, Jessie and David here. And we're about to talk about all the amazing public art exhibits that are made possible and so many other community events. But ta-da! Congratulations, we're having a champagne toast too. But just we wanted to give this to you and say thank you. And here's to you.
Here's to
A
you.
special
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
that you all do for so many years.
Thank you
very
down
much.
Cheers down there.
But you know, we of course hear about the Helis Foundation. But let's first of all talk about who is Mr. Helis.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for this award. We're deeply honored, particularly named in honor of Miss Judell, who was such an important person in this town and in the arts in every way. But really, the Helis story is a really fascinating story of the American dream. The founder of the company, the patriarch of the family, was William Helis Sr., who was a Greek immigrant, came to the United States in the early 20th century, 1905 or 1910 or thereabouts, was established in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the time that the Pennsylvania oil boom was just occurring in the early 20th century, in the early 1920s. Went to work in the oil field, became successful, worked his way across the country, being an oil and gas operator and developer, went to the Los Angeles oil fields and became successful, and landed back in New Orleans in 1934. Bought a house on Audubon Place, the famous pink house on Audubon Place, and continued with great success here in New Orleans and became really the epitome of the American dream. An uneducated immigrant came to the United States through ingenuity and hard work, became very successful and a significant person, not just in this town or in the state, but all throughout the country. And following his death in 1950, the family business was continued under the guidance and auspices of his son, William Helis Jr., who had worked for his father all this time. And in the late 1950s, the family, that is the surviving wife of Mr. Helis Sr. and the 4 children of Mr. Helis Sr., established the Helis Foundation. It was established to conduct the philanthropic efforts of the Helis family and has continued ever since. In the early days, it was much more of a general foundation focusing on the needs of New Orleans and the community and provided grants to establish entities. Where the most significant grant at the time was in the early stages of development of Oxnard Hospital in its current location. But since that time, we've moved forward by virtue of a bequest, plural, in the wills of two of the Helis sisters, Adrian Helis Malvin and Diana Helis Henry, who bequeathed a substantial portion of their estates to the Helis Foundation for the purpose of supporting the arts.
So it's the visual, it's really two in one. It's a community,
it's a community
and plus the visual arts too.
Right. We operate two separate portfolios, a community portfolio, the general portfolio, and then the arts portfolio. And the arts portfolio is funded by the generosity and bequest of two of the Helis sisters, Mrs. Malvin and Mrs. Henry.
Yeah. Well, Jessie, let's talk about the, there's so many things that we all want to talk about, of course, but one of the things that has been just sort of fabulously successful and are the free days at local museums. Let's address that a little bit. You've got, what, Wednesdays? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, well, I know. We hope that it becomes part of just everyone's vocabulary, every citizen of this city, for Louisiana residents. It's called Art for All, the Helis Foundation Free Days, and now we're up to a whole portfolio of institutions that participate, funded by the Helis Foundation. Wednesday, NOMA is free,
City Park,
as well as the Botanical Garden, which includes the Helis Foundation Enrique Alferez Sculpture Garden. So that's free on Wednesday. Thursday is the Ogden Museum. Sunday is the Contemporary Arts Center. And then the Louisiana Children's Museum also has monthly and bi-monthly free days as well. So that's a newer addition.
Yeah.
It is. Over 35,000 people this past year took advantage of that. So we're pretty proud of it.
For a minute on Enrique Alferez, that sculpture garden is so magnificent. As we know, City Park is just full of Alferez artwork. But to put it all, and it's relatively new, to put it all together, I know this was one of your favorite projects.
It was quite a wonderful project to be involved with. And we had the opportunity to work with Enrique Alferez's.
Great photo.
Oh, wonderful photo.
Whoa, okay.
We had the opportunity to work with his daughter, Twaloc, because we acquired a substantial portion of the remaining sculptures owned by the family. And we used that, and that was the nucleus for our garden that we established. And the idea of the garden was not just alone to honor the great work of Enrique Alferez and these magnificent sculptures that we provided to the Botanical Garden, but also to integrate the art into the landscaping. And we think that City Park just did a marvelous job of doing that. It's a very magical place. It's a small place, calm, quieting, and it's something we're really proud of.
Well, we're going to jump around the city and talk a little bit about Poydras Street, because I bet there's still some people who wonder what has gone on Poydras. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. This was a project that came to us in a very limited form some years ago, just in advance of the first Super Bowl in New Orleans after the storm. The idea was to establish some public art on the medians, or on the neutral ground, as we say, in New Orleans. That could be enjoyed by all visitors and people who work every day and drive by there every day. And we took the concept and began to move forward. I've expanded it all the way from Convention Center Boulevard.
That's one of my favorites.
Yes, that's beautiful, to the other side of Claiborne. Wow. And that's called the Funnel Tunnel. And then we have this wonderful piece by John Scott, Black Butterfly, that had been on display at Loyola for some time, and we bought it and we put it out on Poydras Street. So the idea is that we enrich the experience for our citizens, and we enrich the experience for our visitors who are Poydras' main thoroughfare into town coming in. And I must say the feedback has been quite positive, and many prominent visitors that we have occasion to deal with for one reason or another women say, well, you know, we were really impressed by that art on Poydras. And I said, well, thank you, that's our project.
It makes a difference. It softens the look of Poydras.
The idea is that we are building a permanent collection which will comprise about half of the total pieces, and the balance of it will continue to rotate. So now we have 6 pieces. We'll have 6 pieces. We have 5 now. We'll have another one.
Well, let's jump back to City Park and talk about actually some more recent news. I'm very excited because I love, of course, the work of Dale Chuhuly. So right in front of the Thomas Center, the entrance to the Botanical Garden, for a few years, we will have this piece.
Yes, it's called Rose Crystal Tower, and it actually came to us via Union Square in New York. That's a great shot of it as well. And it will be here for 2 years, again, completely free and accessible to the public. That's the open area, the plaza in front of the Botanical Garden. At night, it's beautiful. During the day, it looks almost completely different in an interesting way because it's not lit up and it just radiates different, like the sunlight at different hours of the day. So it's something that's kind of worth going to check out throughout the course of a day.
And then you also had a mural competition recently.
We did.
So we can look forward to some new murals around town.
We're really
city's
excited.
becoming more muralistic, isn't
I think
it?
so too. We're excited
Yeah.
about this project. It's called Unframed, and it's been organized by the Arts Council. And there'll be 5 murals unveiled in the spring. A good blend of international mural artists as well as local practicing artists here throughout the Arts District. So kind of gallery space, you know, on the sides of galleries, as well as one on the side of the CAC and one on the side of the Ogden Museum. So we hope to create, you know, the beginning of what could be a really exciting mural district, the way the Wynwood Walls in Miami or some other, you know, you walk around and there's murals everywhere.
And another exciting thing is the Historic New Orleans collection, who was a longtime partner of the station and who we really care deeply about. A contemporary exhibit in their soon-to-be-opened 520 Royal, formerly Channel 6, exhibit space, huh?
It's going to be a pretty special exhibition, I think.
It's really remarkable, particularly in that setting of a historic setting, yet it's a contemporary exhibit. So the juxtaposition, I think, is going to be very striking. And you know, most of our art, most of the art on public display and available, such as the Poitras Corridor that we talked about, is contemporary. So it was a great fit for us, an opportunity for us to integrate our work with that of the Historic New Orleans collection, which we supported in a more traditional way. But this was very unique and different. So we're just delighted to have the opportunity to support this project and to present this project in such a great historic setting.
And I think it's, I was just going to say, I think what's a really neat fact that the viewers might appreciate knowing is that postmodern in the context of that show is the World's Fair. So it's 1984 through Katrina. So the demarcation year is 1984.
Pretty interesting to be in an 18th century town now. So
Really. And then let us not forget, because we're just coming off, of course, the tricentennial, and so a nod to the past with my favorite building, next to St. Louis Cathedral, my favorite building, Gallier Hall. And so you all really helped with the restoration
we were
of that.
just absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to participate in the tricentennial generally, but particularly to focus on Gallier Hall. All of us who've been in Gallier Hall over the years know that it has not been maintained properly, and particularly these wonderful portraits that have been over time, over several hundred years, have been given to the city of New Orleans by various countries or dignitary, and they've been languishing in Gallier Hall without attention, and they're all in wonderful historic frames. So we decided as our project that what we would do would be to restore all this historic artwork and the original frame. So these pieces now just are magnificent. It's something that the entire city can be proud of as part of the legacy of the city, and we hope a small part of the legacy that we contribute to the city of New Orleans. So it's a great project.
Sure, and finally, many of us remember, of course, with great fondness, the World's Fair, and there was an international water sculpture competition there. And one of the most popular water sculptures was one by Lynda Benglis, and it's a long story, okay? But anyway, it was sort of away for a long time, but it's back and it's operating in Big Lake, in City Park, and that's really,
it's a pretty special project. It's funny that we were just talking about the World's Fair. You can see it all the time in Big Lake. It's actually owned by the city of Kenner on generous loan to the Helis Foundation as well as City Park. And it's sited there. Getting it there was, again, it's a very long story that's very interesting.
That's a whole other
I suggest you look it up because it's a fascinating story. But we're very excited to have restored that piece and brought it back to New Orleans for everyone to enjoy it.
And for more information about all of this, your website?
Yes, it's www.thehelisfoundation.org.
Well, once
and
again,
you can learn about all the
glad
projects.
you all could be here. And
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this great info, too.
Thanks.
And now, Mr. Smason.
Well, I just wanted to start out with a little bit of sad news from the music and arts community. Thais St. Julian, who we see here with her brother Marcus, passed away last week and was laid to rest this past Monday. Now, may you remember that Milton Sherman and she directed the Music at the Camera group, and they specialize in early music, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance. She also founded the Vox Feminae, which is a female ensemble group, of course, dedicated to early music. Thais's music show, Continuum, was produced on WWNO. And again, 76 is when it started, so it's one of the oldest continuing, and it's still on the air, you know.
Yes. And I just want to interject one thing, because, of course, her resume and her list is long, but what wasn't mentioned is that in the mid-1980s, the Arts Council had a weekly program on WWNO from DeVille Bookstore on Carondelet, and it was an arts program, and Thais was the host.
Oh, okay.
And I was fortunate enough to be a guest on it a few times. But it was like an overview, kind of similar to what Diane Mack now does, too.
Okay.
But Thais, it was just more than medieval music.
And she's been sick for the last year or so.
Yeah.
So the programs that you've heard that were more recent really haven't been recorded since the last year and a half or so. I talked to Milton, and again, we're going to miss her very, very much. Again, a force to be reckoned with, and again, left her stamp on so many things. Now, switching gears, so to speak, another item that is missing is the turntable made famous in Les Miserables in their current national tour, being seen here at the Sanger through Sunday. I've seen several national tours, and you know, they've come down the pike, and really, they all pale in comparison to this version, which really does not have a turntable. Very, very big deal. Instead, directors Lawrence Connor and James Powell have reimagined this with really fresh choreography, and an overall lighting by Paul Constable is really incredible. I really was amazed by the lighting. The use of Victor Hugo's paintings interspersed that were used for several images, also inspirational, and the projections by 59 Productions. Oh my goodness gracious, when they did the sewers of Paris, it was wonderful. I have to say.
We're trying to figure out, how did they do that?
They won't tell me.
How did they do that?
The role of Jean Valjean by Nick Cartel was very good, although the depiction of him as an older man left a little bit to be desired in the makeup department. His Bring Him Home, though, was lilting and thrilled the crowd, and I have to say, though, I was absolutely stunned by the performance of Josh Davis as Javert. He had that worthy scowl to match that of the relentless, unyielding Javert. He was riveting, and spoiler alert, his final scene and the special effects in it were just astounding. They will not tell me how they did that either. The trio of female singers of Mary Kate Moore as Fantine and Paige Smallwood as Eponine and Julian Butler as Cosette were all very good. I was not taken as much with Joshua Grosso as Marius, however. Several of his acting choices that he made where he kind of made comic spoof of the role, I thought, were a little advised. The music, however, was sumptuous, and the sound is superb. The costumes by Andrew Nefertu and Christine Rowland are also rendered very well. This is the very best Les Miserables. I recommend it very highly. Go see it. It's a true ensemble performance. When the people who are the main leads and featured actors are off stage, they come back on in different roles. So, again, they all help to make this a really wonderful work, putting it all together. Les Miserables on stage through Sunday. Now, just in time for their grand opening at Southern Rep next week, they're presenting Sarah DeLap's The Wolves. Now, this is a story about a teenage girls' indoor soccer team. It's directed by the artistic director, M.A. Hayes, and this play is almost entirely composed of the ladies, if you will, kicking the ball back and forth to one another and conversing, as it were. The soccer balls go back and forth. They have different formations. They do stretching. This is a truly ensemble piece. There's really no one person who stands out and stronger performance than the others. Until the very last minute, I have to say, we don't really even know some of the names of the players. They're referred to in the script as numbers, 00, 7, etc., etc. The sound by Claire Marie Stenrich is also very, very good. The set is composed completely of AstroTurf, and so the ladies are playing in this indoor arena, practicing, preparing for games, passing the ball back and forth. The play really perfectly captures the teenage angst of its characters that are involved, and this really, truly sport and the team aspect of it. There are really bigger issues that confront them later on, specifically between the girls and all that they're involved, and one major event that affects the whole team. I rather enjoyed it, and I have to say, it's not mindless banter back and forth. DeLappe really gets to the heart of this team and the individuals who, are, after all, are teenage girls, and along with their ranks and their raging hormones, they have a lot of things to think about and say, and that is enough to fill a soccer arena. The Wolves plays through February the 3rd. 2 upcoming shows should be hilarious. First, Varla Jean Merman's Under a Big Top. It's an opportunity for Varla Jean to show off her big top and the world of circus acts. That'll be at Cafe Istanbul. And then don't forget that at the end of the month, Beth Malone is going to be one of the 3 people, if you may remember, from Fun Home, who played the adult Alison Bechdel. She's going to be appearing on stage with Seth Rudetsky at NOCA. She was most recently in a non-musical play, Angels in America, on Broadway. But prior to that, had been in St. Louis at the Muni and had been actually the title role of the unsinkable Molly Brown. She's got a great voice and is a great actress. I have not seen any reviews of things that she's done with Seth before, but I'm sure she's going to be great.
Okay, good. Thank you. Time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
Hard to believe it's time for the 42nd annual Chef's Charity for Children. That's Monday, January the 28th at the Hilton Riverside. Tickets $75 to $250. And happy 96th birthday, Mrs. Chase. I saw her this week and she said, I will be there.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah,
and
something
all
to
for
look
Chef's
forward
Charity
to.
for St. Michael's, to help St. Michael's, yes. Picks, Jessie and David.
Art,
Yes.
we think the art for all. Going
For
to
all.
take
Just pick a day of
advantage.
the week and you'll have
Yes.
the opportunity, if you're a Louisiana resident, to enjoy wonderful art for free.
Such a deal. Thank you so much. And Alan?
And fresh off their success with Scheherazade, that was on Thursday, and they're going to, of course, do it tomorrow night. The LPO will be at the Mahalia Jackson Theater for the Performing Arts, performing, believe it or not, John Williams' soundtrack to Jaws. And that's going to be a Saturday, January the 19th, and it should be a great outing. When they do these things like Psycho, it's always so much fun. They did Star Wars, I think, too.
I love that, though, the accessibility of it, you know. And the music is so beautiful, too. And scary.
Yes, yes,
Scary.
absolutely.
Yes. And before we go to my picks, I wanted to show you some images of this year's Krewe of Joan of Arc Parade, which was held last Sunday in the Quarter. Alyssa Forte, who's from Mount Carmel, portrayed the Maid d'Orléans. Look how beautiful. And Liz Williams, founder of the New Orleans Food and Beverage Museum. Look at her crown. Okay, she was Queen Yolande of Aragon. It's spoons. And of course, you know, she is the founder and the head of the, of course, the New Orleans Food and Beverage Museum. And thank you very much to Judy Bottoni for those photos. And now my picks. The first Piety in Exile Market of the year is this Saturday at the New Orleans Healing Center right there on St. Claude. The market is from 11 to 4. All so eclectic. I love going there. There's all kinds of great stuff. Don't miss baritone Benjamin Apple performing with pianist James Beaulieu next Wednesday night at Tulane University, of course, Dixon Hall. And visit friendsofmusic.org to purchase your tickets. And looking ahead, the Marigny Opera Ballet is premiering three new works next week. Piero Lunaire, Querelle, and Gottschalk Suite, of course, music by Mr. Gottschalk, which will take place January 17th through 21st at the Marigny Opera House on St. Ferdinand Street. Visit MarignyOperaHouse.org for tickets. Chris Champagne's ongoing comedy show will have its next installment next Friday at Cello's on North Holland in Metairie. And don't miss Massenet's opera Cendrillon, also known as Cinderella, okay? And that's next Friday and Sunday at Loyola University's Roussel Hall. Finally, a rare painting by the noted portrait artist Salazar is up for auction Saturday a week at Crescent City Auction Gallery on St. Charles. So check their website. This is really something for preview times. And once again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Good night. Yeah.